Hey everyone, it's Louise and welcome back to Along Came Mama. Today I'm joined by the one and only
Harold,
and we got a special video in store for you. It's been a long time since we posted a video on here and so much has happened in the past 6 months. For starters, we had our baby girl who will be turning 6 months next week. And we also moved out to a new apartment unit, which hopefully we can show you sometime soon. We also celebrated our 2-year wedding anniversary this past February. Is that a 3 or a 2? 2. I also launched a few new items in my shop, so be sure to check them out. I'm gonna link the URL below. And finally, we've just been adjusting to and enjoying family life with our 2 little ones. But anyway, let's get right into why you're probably here. Without further ado, our birth story for baby number 2. So let's start at the very beginning when I thought I was going into labor, but I actually didn't. It was a Friday, I was getting Braxton Hicks contractions, and it was 10 days before my actual due date, so I thought I was gonna have another early labor. But thankfully, we already packed our bags. So I called my dad and I was like, hey, you know, I think it's happening, but I think you should get Hunter because that was part of our plan.
We wanted Hunter to stay with her parents, so
yeah.
At least like we can freely move around in the hospital.
Yeah, they were gonna allow 2 people in the hospital, but I didn't want Hunter running around while I was giving birth, so it was just gonna be Harold. But we weren't really sure if like I was in labor yet. So I was timing my contractions and it seemed like I was, but it wasn't consistent like the last time. And you're actually supposed to work that day.
Yeah, but I decided not to go in, you know, just in case she might actually give birth
that would be kind of rude.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, you know what, let's take work off and just in case anything happens.
So my parents came, picked up Hunter. We said our goodbyes. We actually filmed like a little video being like, hey, you know, next time you see us, we'll probably have like a baby. And he had no idea what was happening, of course.
Next time you see us, we're gonna have a baby sister. Right?
Unless she doesn't come yet. Hunter. But pretty much my parents picked them up. We stayed the night at our place, just kind of writing it out, kind of seeing if, you know, it was gonna progress or not. But it took the entire weekend. Sunday at this point, we were like, oh my God, we miss Hunter so much. Yeah.
It was the first time like being away from Hunter for that long. But
yeah, we also wanted to just be closer to the hospital because we live like downtownish and my parents don't. So even if we stayed at my parents' house,
it would take quite a while to get down to the hospital.
But anyway, we ended up going to my parents' house because we miss Hunter so much. Yeah. So we just grabbed everything. We were like, well, it's not happening yet, but we want to still be with Hunter and we didn't want to like take him back and then get my parents to pick him up again. It was just too much of a hassle. So we just grabbed everything and we just went to my parents' house anyway. So at this point it's Monday and I had to go to my weekly checkup appointment and the update was normal. Baby was healthy. There was just like no more signs of labor. Pretty much my contraction just stopped and never returned. But my actual OB wasn't in. I had like a replacement OB and he asked me if I wanted to do a sweep. I was kind of like uncomfortable because I didn't really know him too well. And also I heard that sweeps could be uncomfortable. So at that point I was like, let's just let this play out the way nature intended. So I was just like, you know, if it doesn't come next week, then I'll get a sweep done.
This would be your first time getting a sweep?
Yeah, because
you didn't have that happen with Hunter, right?
No, because with Hunter, he came like 12 days early, so we actually were unprepared for his labor. But this time around, it was taking longer than I expected. Yeah. Even with those contractions, I was just like getting really impatient, but I also didn't want to like force anything at that point.
For those who don't know what a sweep is, what do they do and what does it do to your body?
So I don't really know like the technical of what happens when you get a sweep, but pretty much what the doctor explained to me, he just has to like go around the perimeter of your cervix just to like loosen it up a bit. And that usually, for the most part, kind of induces or like gets the labor sort of going at that point. So the next week was my next follow-up appointment. By that time, I'm already overdue. I was due on the 20th. At that day, it was the 21st actually. So it was the day after my due date. My actual OB came in and I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. I'm like super huge, super pregnant. I want this baby out. And like, I just wanted to meet her. So he was like, you want to do it? I'm like, sure. And you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. I think I remember calling you after being like, yeah, you did a sweep, but like, I didn't really feel it. There was already so much pressure down there that I was just like, whatever, do what you gotta do. So that evening after my sweep, tried and true, I got my bloody show. Like things started progressing.
That's the same day.
Same night.
Yeah, same
night.
Day.
And it was around the same night that my water broke with Hunter around like 12:30 in the morning. Except this time around, I didn't feel my water break, but I just felt like a little gush and it was bloody. Sorry, like TMI to anyone, but I mean, I feel like if you're clicking on this first story,
you want to hear the
gory or like
details.
You know what to expect. Anyway, so I was like, I don't really know if my water broke, but I called triage and they asked me all the general questions and I was like, yeah, like I felt a little gush, there's blood, and it's like, it won't stop like pouring out. Yeah, so after I got off the phone with triage, they were like, you know what, just come in. We'll do a little examination to see if you're actually in labor. But they told me to just be prepared to go home in the event that
just
I wasn't.
Case.
Yeah. My parents were sleeping because it was like 12:30. And I woke them up and let them know that, you know, I might be in labor and we're going to the hospital, but we might be back. In the elevator. We might be here, we might have to go home. Who knows? We left, we drove, there was like no traffic. We got there, same general questions. So they did the examination and they actually had to do this test to see if my water actually broke. They had to take like a little sample down there, remember that? They just wanted to confirm if my water broke or not because they wanted to see their next steps. What I think they did is that they took this little sample and then they tested it to see if my water actually broke. I think there's like fluid that they could check to see if it was there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the test came back and they're like, your water didn't break. So the next option was to induce labor. And that's something that I didn't want to happen. They always say that no two births are the same. And I was just expecting sort of the same experience as Hunter's, even though I knew in the back of my mind, like it's not gonna happen exactly the same way. You know, everyone just kept hyping me up saying like, your second one's gonna come so much faster and like, it's gonna be so much easier. You're gonna like sneeze and your baby's gonna come out. Pretty much people were just saying, oh, if your first labor was so fast, this one's gonna be even faster. And when things were happening like backwards, I was like sort of panicking and putting a lot of pressure on myself. And the doctor that was there that day was so high energy. Do you remember her? She was just really hyper. And like, she was really nice and cool, but she was very like, I'm your gal pal and just trying to be all like buddy with me, but like very high energy. And I'm not that kind of person personally. I'm like very chill. And especially when it comes to labor and giving birth, I don't like too much going on. Like,
you wanted somebody more calming.
More calm.
Yeah. Kind of like the doctor that we had.
The first time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, at this point, everything was just happening not the way I anticipated it to happen. So I was just getting more nervous. And I think that's what sort of was stalling my labor at that point. But they did the examination and they said that I was 4 centimeters dilated at this point, which they said was far long enough that I could just stay at the hospital.
So you just got checked out by the 2 doctors?
Yeah. It was kind of painful, but at the end they said I'm 4 centimeters dilated, so that's a good sign because I'm in active labor.
So does that mean we're staying?
We are staying. What were the chances? Hopefully we get to meet her very soon. Hopefully it's not too long after this.
Do test video.
So they take me out of the triage unit and wheel me up to the actual room that we were gonna be staying in to like give birth. But my contractions were like really slowing down. Yeah. Like almost stopped for like 15 minutes even. And I was just like, oh my God, we're here. Like I'm already in this stupid gown. Yeah. I just want to give birth.
Let's go, you know?
I don't want to go back home. So anyway, 7 a.m. rolls around, still no sign of anything. And then I was like, okay, so what happens in an induction? Because I think at that point I was just like scared of the unknown. Yeah. But they just told me it's like this little hook and then they like prick the sac that has the fluid, your water, and then it just happens kind of thing, or it speeds it up at least. At this point, I was just kind of over the whole thing. We hadn't slept. At least I didn't. Like, you took little naps.
I took a couple naps here and there. You know?
I did not because I was super anxious. Yeah. And I also didn't eat because, once again, I was super anxious. Yeah. So I was just like, let's speed this up. Let's get it going. But thankfully at this point, the doctor team had switched up already. We got like a new set of doctors, new set of nurses in, and they were like night and day. So much more calm. And I feel like my body was a bit more at ease since they came in. Yeah. So before they were gonna induce my labor, they checked to see how far along I was. And at that point I was like 7 centimeters. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was progressing, but they just kept reassuring me like, hey, your body's doing its thing. So they actually gave me an epidural first, which honestly, this time around, it wasn't as bad as with Hunter. But this time around, I was kind of bracing myself for the worst with epidural, but...
Thinking that it would be the same as the first time.
Yeah. Remember, I was just like standing there like this. Yeah. And then I was like...
Are you done?
Yeah, I was like, did you do it? And they're like, oh yeah, you can move now. So after they gave me the epidural, they broke my water. And they also gave me Pitocin to speed up the contractions, to get things going even more. After the Pitocin, after the induction, my contractions actually started to speed up. And it got to a point where I was feeling everything.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like at that point, the epidural was like wearing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because it was intensifying or because epidural was wearing off, but it was just getting really painful. And it just so happens that our nurse took a break at that time. And we were like paging, being like, I think I'm ready to go. And they're like, okay, we'll tell your nurse. And I think maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes passed by. They were honestly really bad.
Yeah.
So we paged again. They're like, yes, we'll get your nurse. I'm like, now. I'm like in crazy
I'm thinking
pain.
I might have to deliver this baby myself.
Yeah, right. So our nurse finally comes in, checks, and she's like, okay, you're 10 centimeters, like, time to push. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I've been trying to tell you. So I'm pushing, holding Harold's hand, closing my eyes because you know how they have like that mirror on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Like I made that mistake once before.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm closing my eyes. And also I was in like crazy pain. I was like swearing, screaming. Cause like, you know, my last labor, I was like, why are women screaming? It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And like this time around, I was that woman and it was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like it's really bad.
I was a little worried. I was like, is everything okay? Like,
no.
And I can,
Things were
there's
not
nothing I
okay.
can do to make the pain go away
Yeah.
or to stop yelling. I felt really like bad. There's no more drugs I can get.
Yeah, because I think I maxed out the epidural.
Yeah. So it was just like, you know, all I could do is tell her it'll be okay. But
yeah, no. I honestly thought it was impossible. I thought the baby was gonna get stuck in my vagina and they're gonna be like, well, we just have to give you a C-section or something. So like Hunter, Lonnie was also sunny side up, which made for like a very difficult labor. As I was pushing, they noticed that the cord was close to her neck and they didn't want to chance anything. And I think they just realized that my pushing wasn't strong enough or something. So they needed to get the vacuum to help suction her out.
yeah, it looked like a handheld plunger. Seriously, that's what it looked like.
At that point, my eyes are still closed, but all I can hear is my OB giving orders to like the delivery doctor. And I hear this suction like of the vacuum and I'm like, oh my God, whatever, just do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And then they did, and I felt that like final push and she was out. And I remember them putting her on my chest and being just so relieved and obviously very happy and just in awe because I was like, I fucking did it.
Yeah.
After all of that, like after all that pain, like it happened and I survived.
Yes, you on, Mommy.
Lonnie, it looked like you already gained a few pounds. This is your first meal and you're already full.
Yeah, she looks like Hunter. Oh my God.
Hi. Hi, baby.
But I did lose so much blood apparently.
Yeah, you did.
I don't understand this medical jargon, but they said I lost like 60
CC?
I don't 60 somethings of blood. If you don't like blood, me neither, but like if you don't like it, close your ears for the next part. Pretty much when she came out, the doctor let go of my vagina and like I heard a gush of blood go on the ground and I was like, oh, what's that? And she like put her hand back to apply pressure and she's like, she's losing blood. She's losing blood. And I was like, oh my God, like, am I gonna make it? But then you said you looked by accident.
At this point, I was with Lonnie in the corner and I'm just like in awe. I'm like, wow, Lonnie's here, amazing. And then I hear the doctor say, oh, she's losing so much blood. I didn't want to turn around, but you know, my wife's there. And as I turn around, all I see is blood all over the place.
Yeah,
honestly,
I feel
it looked
like if
like
I saw it, I would throw up.
Yeah,
for sure.
It looked like a murder scene.
Oh
Everything was in slow motion. Like I just panned the whole thing and I was just like, what is happening? And I'm like, do I go?
Who do you go to?
What do I do at this point? Do I go help Louise out or, you know, comfort her? Do I stay with Lonnie? My mind was not there. I was just gone. All you hear is like, she's losing blood. Both doctors like, do this, do that. And I'm like, I hope I don't lose my wife right now. Like I didn't know what to do. I was just so like out of it. It was pretty traumatizing. I'm not gonna lie. Like I look to the left, I see the placenta on a silver tray.
That was like another story because I don't remember pushing out the placenta with Hunter, but this time around the doctor like pressed my stomach and I just like felt like a push and it came out and I was like, ew, what was that? Like I heard like a slurp. It was so gross. So we initially requested a private room, but all the rooms were booked. So we ended up in a semi-private room once again. And the people we shared a room with had twins. So there was no sleeping going on that night. And this whole time the nurses were checking up on me because I had lost so much blood, and they were just making sure that I was in good health. I was like really close to getting a blood transfusion apparently. So they had to do another blood test towards the end of our stay just to make sure that my blood count was good. And thankfully the results came back and I didn't have to get one after all. So Lonnie's tests all came back well. We were good to go after the 24, 26-ish hours at the hospital. Yeah. I just couldn't wait to leave. So we left, went back to my parents' house, and we introduced Lonnie to Hunter for the very first time. The first time he met her, he wanted nothing to do with her. He was clinging onto you and he was whining the whole time because he was like, what is this new being? What is this?
It's your sister. No, it's okay. Hey, look. It's your sister. No. It's okay, baby. Look, say hi to Lonnie. Say hi to Lonnie.
So we pretty much stay at my parents' house for the 2 weeks. Very helpful. We didn't have to cook anything, wash dishes. He did laundry. I honestly found that my recovery this time around was so much better. Meanwhile, when I gave birth to Hunter, I feel like my delivery was really fast and easy.
Smooth, yeah.
But my recovery was, oh my goodness. Yeah. I didn't think I was gonna survive that neither. So like, I don't know what I would prefer. If I would prefer like a horrible labor like with Lonnie or have a horrible recovery like after Hunter. But anyway, by my 6-week postpartum appointment, I was pretty good. I was in good shape.
Recovering well.
Yeah, recovering well. Everything was where it was supposed to be. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much how my labor went. I don't mean to scare anybody, but like this time around, it just wasn't as great. It wasn't as smooth. Yeah. It was a lot more of like a bumpy road. There was a lot more unknowns, even though it was my second pregnancy and labor and birth and whatever. Yeah. But I hope you enjoyed listening to our birth story. It's been an adventure since then, and baby girl is growing so fast. Not sure when the next YouTube video will be, but you can always follow along our journey on our socials. But in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow me on Instagram, Along Came Mama, and all that good stuff. And don't forget to check out the Along Came Mama shop to grab some cute stuff for yourself or your other cool mom friends. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.